fight gold, things of that nature. Also invest in hand sanitizer startups is probably a good one. So let's talk about building a leveraged long position if you're already sitting in Bitcoin and you are looking at this local area. So first off, we have to talk about what platform you're building a leveraged long on. So if you're building a leveraged long position on a platform like ByBit, which is what I use, or if you're building on something like BitMEX or Deribit or Kraken, which is probably going to be the safer bet for the new investor coming in, right? Because you just won't have access to higher leverage and it's easier to not get yourself into trouble. So remember that when you hold Bitcoin spot long and you deposit Bitcoin to these exchanges, you're already 1x long. You're already 1x long. So if you then go another 1x, right? If you double up the amount. So if you deposit $8,000 worth of Bitcoin onto ByBit and you open up an $8,000 position, you have $16,000 long. You are at 2x leverage. Right? It's not like the $8,000 is like your account balance and you're at zero. No, you already have $8,000 worth of Bitcoin 1x long. Anytime you hold Bitcoin, you're 1x long on Bitcoin. So any position that you take long on top of that is at leverage, period. You're using your underlying capital, your underlying Bitcoin holdings as margin. And so when we, based on these volatile price swings that we've had to the downside, particularly yesterday, we need to be cautious about establishing those. And again, this comes with responsible use of leverage. When one averages into a leveraged long position, they do it the exact same way that one should ideally average into a dollar cost average investment, right? So there's a couple options. You can either A, do the same amount consistently every day, every week. For example, building a leveraged long position can take a while. So for example, if you go back to the lows in 2018, 2019, building a leveraged long position, we had 10, 15% movements to the downside, wicks to the downside, and building a 1x, 2x leveraged long position should have taken a while, right? Now, you as a trader can take advantage of this by, for example, looking for oversold conditions in the market, which should give you a more ideal entry, or looking for trade signals from your system, for example, right? Can give you better average entries into where you should be dollar cost averaging. But you can't get greedy. You can't average into a leveraged long position over the course of an hour and then watch price drop 30% and complain about it. That's not how averaging into a position works. It doesn't happen over an hour. The time horizons of most cryptocurrency traders is not the time horizons that it should be. So remember, if you are leveraging into a 1x on the exchange, which is really a 2x long position, your liquidation price is going to be 50% away from your average entry. And if you leverage into a 2x position, your liquidation price is going to be 33% away from your entry. So it's unclear how far of the bottom we'll test, how many long wicks to the downside we'll see, or how many long wicks to the upside we'll see. We'll get into this when we look at the analysis. But if you're building a leveraged position at these prices, as I am doing, then you need to be cognizant and aware of where your liquidation price is, because that's a real thing. And if you want to wait for the consolidation and then average into a long position as we're moving to the upside, as many individuals did, if you go back and look at the charts, once we broke above 6K in April of 2019, you can see that we established a shelf there for quite a while. And a lot of individuals established that leveraged long position there over the course of several weeks, which is okay. So take that forward. That's very important information to know when we are establishing this. Now, Trump declaring a national state of emergency predicted to happen this afternoon. Now, that is likely bound to have a very negative effect on traditional markets. Traditional markets already sagging as we speak in response to this, in early anticipation of this. Again, the announcement on this just kind of went out on Twitter. Again, we gapped up, already had a sell-off, recovering slightly somewhat intraday. But again, I think that we're likely to continue to push to the downside here. But it's unclear. The market is very unstable right now and very volatile. Now, I also want to be clear before we get into the technical analysis about where I stand. Now, going back to China, where this outbreak originated from. As I said, all the objective data points to the fact that they are coming back online. Factory workers are going back to work. Supply chains are being reestablished, right? Now, that is tentative, but again, manufacturers that I talk to in the United States say that their supply chains, that their supplies, that their shipments are now scheduled. Whereas before it was like, we don't know, man. Chinese workers aren't working. Our factories aren't up. They are operational now. So in the long term, and we can also see from the data that infections in China seem to be leveling off. Now, of course, you're going to get half of the half of the internet community that says, well, you can't trust the numbers that China is putting out. You certainly cannot. And it depends. Maybe you can. It depends on where you stand on China. But again, the facts that factories are coming back online, from all the information that I can gather, seems to be objective fact, which would be positive, because that would seem to confirm the correlation that infections are leveling off. So if you go look even at the Johns Hopkins data and you look at COVID-19, you can see an exponential logarithmic growth of infections of COVID-19. And what do you see if you go look over the past few weeks? You can see it leveling out, right? Now, I think that is likely to increase as the Western nations kind of deal with this. But again, the outbreak started in November of 2019. The Americas and the Eurozone really only became aware of it in January. And it's not until now, in the middle of March, that everybody is really panicking, right? Everybody's really panicking. So, I believe, and if you look at go look at the Chinese stock market, it's sold off massively and has since seen a recovery. The Federal Reserve Bank is scheduled to most likely slash interest rates again on the 17th and 18th more substantially. And with the president declaring a state of emergency, again, I think it is likely that we will see a bounce and a 1 to 3 month recovery in the traditional markets. I think that Bitcoin will move up as a result of this as investor confidence returns. And if we do end up rejecting from a resistance level up there and end up retesting lows, that would not be surprising, but we'll have to deal with that bridge when we come to it. So again, I don't want to call the bottom. I don't want to say that the bottom is in on any market. I think that it's highly probable now that we've tested the high $3,700 area that we can actually come down and test lows down in the $3,500 area. Are we going there right away today? Well, let's go find out when we go to the charts. But overall, I want you guys to be safe, to be cautious, to be building your spot positions responsibly, to be investing responsibly, to be taking leveraged positions responsibly, to be trading responsibly, because the reality is most of you guys are not used to this sort of volatility. Some of you watching have never experienced downturns like this. I've been around since 2016, so I've seen this before. A lot of individuals who have been here with me for this whole time have seen this before. These are the situations that test your mettle as an investor. These are the situations that test your mettle as a trader. And these are the situations that you have to go through, right? It's unavoidable that you essentially have to go through to make it out the other side. So with that being said, if anybody is feeling down, listen, join the Discord. If anybody is feeling elated, join the Discord, because movements like this in the market, there are not a lot of people who are unaffected. Some individuals lose a lot of money. Some individuals make a lot of money. And how do we build a good society? From those who are doing well, doing the best that they can to mentor and provide support and reassurance to those who are struggling currently. So join the Discord, discord.crackingcryptocurrency.com. Leave a comment down below. Let us know how you guys are doing in the market. We're always there. Again, we were in the voice chat a whole bunch last night. We'll be in the voice chat again today. But good place to talk, good place to discuss. We're all in this together.